Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. You know how we do it here. We dig into the source material you send and see what we can find. So today, we're going to be looking at the inauguration of Donald Trump.
45th president.
Yeah, the 45th president.
Yeah.
Right? And Inauguration Day was January 28th, 2017.
Yeah.
I think we all know that date, but that's what all our sources are pointing to this time, which, it's 2025 now. So going back a few years.
Like a little bit of a time warp.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, there's a good reason we're going back to this specific inauguration, aside from, the changing of the guard and all that.
Well, it's a very unique inauguration because it fell on a holiday.
Okay.
Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's something we're going to be digging into today.
Yeah.
How this coincidence, this, inauguration falling on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, really kind of framed the beginning of the Trump presidency.
And it's interesting how this date kind of set off so much discussion and debate.
Right away.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get away from it. It's right there.
So what did the sources say about how people were reacting to this?
Well, you can imagine the media had a field day with this.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Lots of think pieces galore about, is this a good omen, a bad omen? But there was definitely a split.
Okay.
So the outlets, they're more left-leaning. They really focused on the contrast between Trump and Dr. King Trump, with his campaign promises that, seemed to contradict a lot of what Dr. King stood for.
Yeah, like the whole America First thing, which, on the surface, it doesn't sound bad, but you can definitely see how people were drawing a line there.
Right. And, they pointed out policies that seemed to go against the idea of unity and inclusion.
Okay. Interesting. And what about the other side of the aisle?
Well, on that side, they were trying to downplay the whole date thing. Just focus on the peaceful transfer of power, the start of a new administration, that sort of thing.
Right. Nothing to see here, folks. Exactly. And a lot of them used quotes from Dr. King to support their points, like talking about unity and judging people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin.
Which is a very powerful quote.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting how both sides are using the same figure, the same words, but to support very different ideas.
Very much so. And that just shows how this date really added fuel to the fire of an already pretty heated political climate.
Yeah, for sure. So we're talking about the reaction to the date itself, but what are the actual inauguration? What did Trump say in his speech?
Well, like you said earlier, his big thing was America First. It was about reclaiming American strength and putting American interests first.
Which, again, some people love that message.
Oh, yeah.
They saw him as a strong leader, someone who was finally going to stand up for America.
Exactly. He was the disruptor, the outsider who was going to shake things up.
But for others, it sounded a little like a step backwards. Like going back to a time when America wasn't as focused on global cooperation.
And yeah, that really worried people, especially those who saw Dr. King's legacy as one of progress towards a more just and equitable world.
Did the sources mention anything about how civil rights leaders reacted to all this?
Oh, yeah. They definitely chimed in. Some were worried that Trump's policies would roll back the progress that had been made. They even compared some of his ideas to the systems that Dr. King fought against.
It must have been a really strange and maybe even scary time for people who were so deeply involved in the civil rights movement. Seeing someone like Trump take office on a day dedicated to Dr. King.
It was a turning point for sure, where these two very different visions for America really clashed.
So much has happened since then. It's crazy to think about it all. But looking back, do you think this inauguration on MLK Day really set the stage for what was to come?
I think so. The next 4 years were definitely marked by those same divisions and tensions.
Definitely. And I wonder how this moment in history, this inauguration, will be looked at in the future. Will it be seen as a turning point towards something better or something worse? Or maybe a little bit of both. It's definitely something to think about.
Exactly. And it just shows how these moments in history are all connected.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for sending in those sources. It was really fascinating to look back at this moment in time.
It was.
And thank you all for listening, as always. See you next time.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.